Good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Marvin Smith. I'm the CEO and founder of Smith Bookkeeping Financial Services. What I want to talk about tonight is this evening, today, Friday, September the 24th, 2021. I want to speak about um, business when you start a business. What I mean by that is there are many people out here who want to start a business and basically what they're doing and not knowing that they're pretty much doing it wrong or incorrect because they have not consulted anyone. Or, for example, they have not gone to the local chambers of commerce. What is the local chambers of commerce? The chambers of commerce is an organization that assists entrepreneurs, individuals, or any businesses who desire to get the resources. So you should be going to your local chambers of commerce. This is an organization that you can join within your state throughout the United States. So you have the African American Chambers of Commerce, you have the Latino Chambers of Commerce, you have the Asian Chambers of Commerce. So you have different chambers of commerce, which I call chapters of the Chambers of Commerce. This is resources that any individual, entrepreneur, or business owner who desire to get the necessary resources for owning and operating a business. So, what I want to talk about today is that many people who are starting a business are starting a business and not knowing that they're doing things incorrect. So, what I want to talk about when you first start a business, and I'll give you some background on myself. When I first started out back in the early 2000s, I was eager after I took accounting and did accounting. I was eager to learn more outside of school, what I learned in school, what I learned at LaGuardia Community College. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to learn and learn more about what accounting was from the outside perspective versus what I learned at LaGuardia Community College. So by that said and done is that I'm a very determined person who is driven by passion. I love knowledge. I love to learn. So what I started out was I spoke to a gentleman by the name of Mr. Paul Adams. He was a CPA, which was in the same building but a company that I worked for. And he gave me my first opportunity, and that's when I first started my first business. Now, mind you, I had no experience at all um, about business. All I knew how to be was an employee. What's an employee? Employee is a person that works for a business, this is an individual who is an employee that works for a business. You trade your hours, you trade your time and services for what? A salary, which is called wages. So you trade your time and your services for what? Salary, for a salary, which is wages for the work that you perform at your job. No matter what industry it is, where you're an employee, that means you are working for someone else. You are given a W 4. You are given an hourly rate, or you're paid by hourly rate or by salary. You're given what? Paid time off, which is the acronym for PTO. You are given benefits such as health benefits, dental, vision. Now, most jobs offer what they call a retirement plan, pensions, 401ks, profit sharing, health savings account, flexible spending account. So now many jobs offer these benefits to what? To attract new employees and to keep and attract employees. So the better the benefits are, the more it's going to attract new talent, and it's going to allow these companies to keep this talent in place for many years. So when you're an employee, that means you are working for someone else. You are not working for yourself. And I always say that what each boss that you work for is really your mentor, whether you like he or she, whether you like them or not, they are going to be your mentor. So as an employee, you are bound by what company policy, rules, and regulations that you must follow. So every business is structured based on lower, middle, and upper management. And then you have office personnel, but it also depends on the business structure. So many people are inspired to own their own business, and they call themselves today entrepreneurs. Many people are born with a talent but must develop their skills. So, with that said and done, when I first started out, I had no knowledge practically of what I was doing. I had the education, but I didn't have the knowledge when it came to starting and forming a business. But I was always eager to learn. And I'm a firm believer that whatever the mind thinketh, and that the scripture in the Bible that said that what? As a man thinketh, so is he. So whatever you think is going to show up in your life. So the word that you speak out of your mouth is going to manifest and show up in your life. So if you have the mind of abundance, then you're going to have a life of abundance. If you have the mind of prosperity, then you're going to have a life of prosperity. If you have the mind of success, you're going to have a life of success. If you have a rich mentality, you're going to live a wealthy life that's comfortable for you. It all depends on you. I don't believe it. There's no such thing in my world called the sky's the limit. The sky doesn't have a limit. There's no limit to the sky. We speak what we hear. But we really don't understand what we're saying. I don't limit myself. I put no limits on myself. I know what I'm capable of, and I believe in myself. So getting back to what I said earlier, when I first started out, it was called trial and error. I didn't know what I was doing. However, by me being the man that I am and the person that I am, I love to read. I love to read. I read so many books, and I've been blessed, and God has given me the knowledge, wisdom, understanding to not only learn from books, but also learn from other people, learn from my own experience, learn from others' experience. And with that said and done, as I was navigating and finding my purpose in life, did I do it right all the time? No, I didn't. But it was a trial and error. Did I grow up around family that was own business? No. Yet my father, who was he's an entrepreneur in his own way. But did I really grow up around anybody that owned and operate a business? No, I didn't. Was my mother a business owner? No. I lived when I grew up. My mother, she was on public assistance, so she didn't have a business. Did she have business education? No. But no, that did not devalue her as a great woman and as a great mother of mine, who's no longer here no more. She's deceased. So as a young man finding my way in the world, I had to learn. Was I taken advantage of? Of course I was taken advantage of. Who was not taken advantage of? But it didn't say that what? My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So I did lack certain knowledge. I lacked knowledge as far as business. Yet I was hungry. And at that time, I was excited. So a lot of times when you're excited, you are easily taken advantage of if you're not careful, if you don't have mentors around you. So I didn't have many mentors, so there was no one to mentor me. As I mentioned, I had to learn on my own, and it was called trial and error. But I also had the sense and the sense about business. In other words, how I negotiated, how I moved, how I was able to learn how to sell myself because growing up, I was very shy. You wouldn't believe that if you was around me all the time. but I was shy. So a lot of that comes from anxiety. How did I improve that? When I became a priest at one point in my life, but how else did I improve that? That came with standing in front of the mirror and speaking. And when you speak in front of a mirror, you can see the reflection of yourself. And you can see certain things that you need to work on. Maybe your delivery, the way you stand, eye contact, body movement. So the mirror is just a reflection of who you are and what you are in the present state. It's the outer reflection of who you are. And so with that said and done, I had gained a lot of experience. What they teach you in school versus what you learn in the real world is two different things. So I was blessed. One, like I see, I read a lot, but I was able to apply what I read. And when you're on a journey, God will put people in your life. As a man thinketh, or as a woman thinketh, or as a mind thinketh, you are going to attract people that's going to come into your life that is going to help you navigate and move to your destination. Now, when you're young, as I mentioned, you are going to get taken advantage of, but it all depends on how you grew up and the people that's around you. Life is a lesson. Everything in life is a lesson. You either going to pass or you're going to fail. So failure was not in my vocabulary. Failure is not who I am. I am about prosperity and success. So it says, seek and you shall find. I was seeking to find what I was looking for. Knock, and I was knocking on the door. And a lot of times when you're knocking on the door, sometimes that door is going to get shut. People are going to shut that door in your face. That don't mean you have to give up. People don't shut the door in your face a lot of times because you're black, or you're a man, or you're a woman, or your gender. This is my opinion. I can't speak for everyone, but every man or woman has a beginning. Every man or woman has a beginning to their story. So my story might not be your story. This is my story. So as I was seeking, I shall find what I'm seeking. What was I seeking? I was seeking to get the knowledge about accounting from a different perspective. I was seeking to own myself. I was seeking to create a legacy. Did I do it right? No, I didn't do it right all the time. There was a couple of hiccups along the way, but I was able to get up. And there's a wise saying by Les Brown, when you fall on your back, you can always see your way up, getting up. So I was always able to get up because getting up was getting up from a lesson that I needed to learn. So as I seek, I shall find. Knock, and as I'm knocking, the door shall open. What shall open? To my heart desire. What was my heart desire? My heart desire was one, to get experience, two, to own a business, three, to own myself. And my business took me places that I couldn't even imagine as a young black man growing up in Brooklyn, New York. Where I grew up was at Albany Projects. I grew up in the projects. But just because you grew up in the projects or grew up in a shoebox or grew up in the middle class, upper class, lower class, it does not mean that you cannot define the odds. It does not mean that you cannot be what you want to be. Because Christ said, I am the truth, the way, and the light. I represent me. I am that I. What is the truth? The truth shall set me free. What is that truth? The truth as I find it. And no matter who you are and what you must believe the story that you tell yourself. First, you must believe in yourself that you can be and do all things. For the God that's in you is the God that you serve. God has no personality except for in you and as you. You must see the greatness that's in you, no matter what anyone tell you. You must see and recognize the greatness that is in you. Never let anyone dim your light. So as I was moving, I gained a lot of knowledge. And what I realized that people are drawn to me. meaning that what? A magnet. Now, what Christ said, what? Let your light shine. What is that light? The light represents the light that's in you. That light represents one that who's in darkness. What did you do? Light give you guidance. Light give you direction. So light, the light that's in me, I recognize that. Sometimes, did I really want the pressure? No. But I know that much giving is much required of me. So I gotta always keep learning. And what I realized, I was touching on subjects that what wasn't taught to me because I read it in a book. I apply myself to get to know knowledge. I wore it like wearing clothes. I girded my mind with knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and I believed in myself, even at times when I didn't. Because I always say this: confidence. No one is confident 24/7. Faith is not always faithful. Faith will come and go. Why? Because we're human. And a lot of us, when we're faced with situations, is a testament or a test to who we are. And whoever we are, how we respond, those very things that are inside of us will come to the surface. That's why it's very important. Do you stand on solid ground or do you stand on quicksand? What is your house built on? So when the wind comes, the wind represents life itself, blow on your house. The house is you. That house can be fear, depression. You probably were told that you will never amount to nothing. You can never be nothing. The best revenge is success. And I always say this: in order for you to get ahead, you cannot look behind you. You got to focus on what's in front of you. Even though where you come from will always be in you. But don't make that you. Don't let that have power over you. No matter what circumstances and conditions you come from, you can be and do and have all the things that you desire. But first, you must master yourself. You must know yourself as a man and as a woman. What is your purpose? Why are you here? What do you, when you die, what do you want people to say about you? What legacy are you living? You don't want to be on your deathbed not being able to live your life to the fullest. Are you living or are you existing? I choose to live. Health, happiness, prosperity, success, the abundance of all things. Christ said, I came to give you what? Strength. I came to give you strength, not weakness. You got to believe in yourself. And when you believe in yourself, you can move mountains. Everyone starts at the bottom. That's how life works. You start at the bottom, you work your way up. And the top is not lonely. The reason why people say that the top is lonely, because the people that you're meeting, you're making new friends and family along your path. These are people that's going to assist you to get you where you have to go. So, as I mentioned, I'm going to get back to what I was saying. So, when I started out, I did trial and error, but I learned. Here I am today. Here I am today. I'm truly blessed. How am I blessed? Many people have clients in California, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Tennessee, the Carolinas. People from all over seek me out. And I put myself in that position. And Christ said, if I am lifted up, that I represent you. Knowledge will lift you up and take you from a place where you are. I will draw all. The all represent all people, good and evil. I've met so many people from all different walks of life. And they all will be drawn unto you in your presence. So now you have to have the mind to discern. But you have to live by standards and codes and laws and rules and regulations that you abide by. So with that said and done, when you're starting a business, ask yourself a question. Where you at in your life? Because where you at in your life will be your mindset or the reason why, what, when, and where. Why is the opening. When the mind start, now you start to what? Ask questions. Why is the progenitor, which will be the path for you to do what? You should know the truth as you see it and as you find it, because your truth is not everyone's truth. Now, as I mentioned, one of the things that I learned over the years, and many people walk into my office, is they have a desire. They want to own a business. Some people want to own a business because they want to own a business. Some people want to own a business because they heard so they're inspired by someone else, but they don't know that person's story. They don't know that person's path. You have to be very careful that you don't idolize a person without knowing that person's story. Because a lot of times you know the surface of the story, but you don't know the root of the story. Why are you doing it? What are you trying to build? Who are you? What are you? Where you want to go? So you have to be able to define yourself. Don't let the world define you. You have to define who you are, and what your purpose is, and why you are here. So I encourage you that first you sit down and have this conversation with yourself. I love to be in my home where I take time out. And as a man, being a man that I am, and as a man, many men can relate to this. We as being men. A lot of times us as men, we need 5 minutes or 10 or 15 minutes to ourselves so we can reconnect and get our mind back. Because we're working so hard inside the home, and majority, if you're a man, you're working outside that home, you're trying to provide provision for your family. You're trying to take care of people, take care of your family. Some of you taking care of your families and friends, depends on what your responsibilities are. So as a man, we need to be able to reconnect back with ourselves. We need 5 or 10 minutes or half an hour or an hour. We need a quiet place somewhere in the house. I like to turn off the lights. I just like to think. Sometimes I like to think out loud. Because Christ had to do what? He had to separate himself. Malcolm X had to separate himself. Martin Luther King or Booker T. Washington or Harriet Truman, at some point they had to separate themselves because of why? They had great responsibilities that they had. And sometimes, because we're human, we break down, we cry. Some of us cry. Some of us feel sad. Some of us are alone. But we need that time alone to get our mind right, to get back into balance. Now, once we get back into balance on a daily basis, now we're able to now go about the very thing that we do on a daily basis. So when you're first starting out and people say, well, I want to own a business. Are you doing it for you? Many people are doing it for themselves. What is your motivation? What inspires you to want to own a business? Is it because we all have talents, but it takes skills and hard work and dedication to develop it. Talent is one thing, but skills, which has to be developed, are something different. And I like to use Michael Jackson as an example. He maximized his talents by obtaining skills to maximize his talent. He obtained skills. He also obtained knowledge. He had mentors. He was on the greatest record label that will be considered the greatest record label, which will be Motown under Barry Gordy. But think about having all these people around you that you can learn from, the good and bad. And he always asks questions. And I see life as a library, a place of learning, always want to learn. So the question is, why do you really want to start a business? You should want to work for yourself. You should want to do for self. And there's no failure if you don't have a business. There's no failure if you work for somebody. No, because there's a lane for everyone. But when you start a business, it's totally different. Because when you work for someone, As long as that business is in operation, you're guaranteed a salary unless you're fired or laid off. That job is paying for your health insurance. That job is responsible for providing you dental insurance and health insurance. That job is responsible for giving you a choice to participate in a retirement plan, such as a 401k or traditional pension plan or a set IRA or what they call profit sharing. That job is giving you what they call PTO, which is vacation, sick days, and holidays. That job is either paying you hourly or salary. Depending on the job, you get commission, you get bonuses. Some of these bonuses are based off of revenue. How well the company does, you get a percentage of that revenue. A lot of stuff is done in the retail business or the sales side. So now, when you are an employee, these things are provided to you because your boss has to work hard as you to make sure that you have a job and a lifestyle, and he has to take care of his family. He or she. It's not easy. So now you want to step out on your own. Now, all these things that you have as benefits are given to you, you no longer have these things. Because many people don't step out with a strategy and a plan. Many people step out because they're disgruntled, they're mad, they're frustrated, and the mind is a powerful thing. You might be angry at your boss, going in every day. You hate your job. You already put it in your mind. And every time you go to your job, nothing goes right. You know why nothing goes right? Because the way you think. And the way you think, these events will show up in your life. If you're having a problem with your boss, the way you think, the universe is going to manifest it and bring this prophetic thought into life. Now all of a sudden, now you're not getting along with your employees. Now all of a sudden, now the printer doesn't work, the computer doesn't work. You're getting passed over based on your job performance. You feel like you deserve more, but then the person that's next to you might have a lesser education. You might feel that they're less than you and you deserve more, but their attitude and the way they go about doing their work is how their boss see value in them. You might have more value than the next person, but if you don't see value in yourself or put value to you, you have no right to say to someone to add value to yourself. The true value is believing in yourself and the value that you put upon yourself. I'm not talking about you going to a job and you're arrogant in your ego. What I'm talking about is that you have specific talent that you can offer this job. And you know that if you leave, that your specific department or that your talent that you have given this job goes with it and it takes them a you're hard to replace. You don't want to be easy to replace. You want to be hard to replace. And being hard to replace means that when you have not only the knowledge, the education, the experience, but you have a specific talent that you have that no one else have in this office or your office, that you're able to use it and maximize it to the benefit of not only yourself, but to the company that you're working for. So when you are planning to open your own business and you're working for a company, no matter what it is, you can be working for McDonald's, Burger King, Fortune 500 company, a law firm, you're working for a real estate broker, no matter what business it is. Hell, even a drug dealer. I'm just putting it out there like that. But you have to have a plan, which I call an exit strategy. And in this plan, you cannot tell anyone at your office. You can't tell your family. You can't tell your friends what you're doing. Keep it to yourself. Trust me. Keep it to yourself. And then as you execute your plan, surround yourself with the people who fit into your frame, fit into that equation. Not everybody fits into that frame. Not everybody fits into that puzzle. That's why Christ said out of his mouth. This is profound. As I told you, I used to be a teacher of the Bible. And I'm going back to, he said, who is my father and mother? Them that do the will. What did he really mean by that? The them represent them that's on the same path as you. Those are your father and your mother, your brother and sister. Doesn't mean you cut off your family and friends, but you're going to make a new brother and sister, those that are on the same path as you. Because if I'm building a plane, I want to be around people who are building a plane. I can't hang around people that don't know how to build a plane, but we can have a conversation about anything other than a plane. I might want to be an architect. I need to be in a circle, in a space of where people who are architects or aspire to be architects, we can understand. We're trading information. We're giving each other knowledge. We're giving each other inspiration. That's what Christ said. Who is my father? Who is my mother? Them that do the work. What is the work? Those who are working towards the same goal and mission that you're on. Not everybody is on your mission. Even your spouse might not be on your mission. Sometimes your spouse can get in the way, can be an interruption to you. A lot of times when people get in a relationship, they stop and put their goals and dreams on hold in the sake of love. In the sake of love. And then when they come out, when they never get nothing done, they want to blame that person. No, blame yourself. Why? Because you did it all in the name of love. Love has no power over me. I'm the master of love. So getting back to what I said, so when you're first, like you're starting out, understand what you're doing. So the first thing you want to do is you want to select a name, a business name. I'm going to give you one for example, McDonald's. That's a business name. Burger King. That's a business name. So whatever the other name you come up with, that's the name that you choose. That's the energy and vibration behind that name. That name defines who you are and what your purpose and mission is. That's the first thing. But I also mentioned earlier than that, what is your purpose in life? What is your plans? Who are you? What you here for? What are you trying to achieve in life? Do you believe in yourself? Are you in love with yourself? Why? Why? What is the purpose? You have to do it because you want to do it. Don't do it because your favorite rapper or your favorite actor, because you don't know their story. You only know it on the surface level. You don't know it on the root. You only know it on the surface level. So you might try to emulate. You might try to do it their way, yet come up and fail because you don't know that person's beginning. You don't know their path. You don't know what they had to do to get to where they had to go. So it's a great thing to use them as a measuring stick or use them as an inspiration. But remember, at the end of the day, you are you and they are them. But use them as an inspiration and understand that it wasn't easy for a lot of people. So getting back to what I said, first you must come up with a name, and the title of this stream is called Business Startup Checklist. It's a checklist for any business that's looking to start up, which is an individual who is looking to start a business. And the reason why I'm making this live stream, because many people who have started business have not done it the correct way. And as I mentioned earlier, when I first started out, I didn't do it correct. So now I'm here after all these years to sprinkle this wisdom on you and telling you just the basic fundamentals. Because once you have the fundamentals, which is the foundation, you have something to build upon. That is the key. So you have to select the name, which is a name like McDonald's or your business name. The other part is what they call a legal business, a legal structure, which means a legal business entity structure. And the most common ones, as we know, is you can work as an individual, a sole proprietorship, an independent contractor, An LLC would stand for limited liability company, a C corporation, and an S corporation in a partnership. So with that said and done, I'm going to go into the not all today. However, choosing the right legal structure. Many people choose limited liability company because why? It's the most common thing or the most fashionable thing to do. Now, when I ask many of my clients, why did you choose this business structure? I don't know. I just chose it. I just did it. Now, how does a legal, why do you call it a legal business structure or legal business entity? Because each state has its own laws on how a business should be governed. I'll say it one more time. Each state, before you form a business, you need to understand the state laws on the state level and even on the federal level, most of the state and local level of what is the laws and structure of running a business. And many people don't know that an LLC is not governed by the federal, it's governed by the state. Now, in your state, as an LLC, which stands for limited liability company, there's something called a single member, which is a single or sole owner of the LLC, which they call a managing member. And there's something called multi-member, meaning there's more than one, which now the LLC be classified as a what? Partnership, right? So now when you form any business, you must come up with a name and a legal structure, which means that legal structure falls in the guidelines of how your business is going to be legally operated under the state laws of your states. Every state governed, every state laws are different when it comes to business. For example, in the state of Florida, Tennessee, Texas, and several other states like Washington, there is no state tax at all. In the state of Wyoming and I believe South Dakota, there's no corporate tax. As you know, the corporate tax is 21%, but in the state of Wyoming, there is no corporate tax. In the state of Nevada, there is no state tax. In the state of Texas, there is no state tax. South Dakota, I believe there is no corporate tax. So each state has laws and regulations of how you must operate your business under your state laws. And under your state laws, and even on the federal level, it's going to let you know what are the tax returns that you are required to file. Many of us know federal and state taxes. But in Pennsylvania, you have what they call the business income receipt tax. If you live and operate your business in the city of Philadelphia, whether you're a non-resident or resident, the so-called net profit tax. So these are things that I'm talking about. So it's very important that when you form your business in the state that you live in, you must know the laws of your state that you live in when it comes to owning and operating a business. Also, with that said and done, will also falls under that legal structure. Many businesses require you to have your license, depending on the industry, the food industry. Many businesses require you to have business insurance. One of the most basic insurance is certificate of liability insurance. So you need to understand before you start a business, you got to do your homework. You don't act on anxiety. You don't act on how you feel. You don't act on anger or frustration, because these will be the very thing that will be your mindset. So it's very important that when you're at your job, keep your mouth closed. Don't tell anybody what you're doing. No one. I don't care if you got best friends on your job. Keep that to yourself. You don't want nobody to know what you're doing. Because sometimes if your boss find out that you're trying to own a business, what that does is that what? If you had somebody working for you and they was trying to do their own business, you know that at any time they're going to leave you. So now there's no loyalty. So many bosses look for loyalty. So if you keep quiet to yourself, come in every day and speak, have your coffee, do your work, and nobody knows what you're doing. That's why the scripture said what? Wise as a serpent. The serpent is wise. And we look at the snake, how it moves. And the wisdom, wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove, meaning you're able to blend in. Meaning, you ever heard that statement, fox in sheep clothing? Because the person that's in front of you, you don't know what their inward thoughts are, but you're going off that person's appearance. So that person is blending in. What does a snake do? It blends in. The fox is clever. So you have to become that and be that. Don't let anyone know what you're thinking. You have to learn to play the game of chess in life, not checkers. You don't want to let someone know what you're thinking because you have a strategic plan. And this plan involves a year to 2 years to execute. And you would have it all mapped out. You don't want to leave your job under the circumstances when you got laid off or you ran your mouth to somebody who you thought was your friend. And remember, the people that's in your office, they're your competition. They might laugh in your face, but they're your competition. Everybody trying to make it. Everybody want to go up that ladder. So when there's a job where there's different ethnic groups and different genders there, there's gonna be some competition. So keep your mouth closed. Don't tell nobody what you're doing. Keep it all a secret. And when you ask a question, sometimes it's wise to play dumb. That means a person that's next to you is gonna become more vulnerable. Learn how to ask your questions. Observe sometime. Look around. Don't let nobody know what you're doing. And then when you leave on good terms. Why? Because you never know. You might need your boss as a referral. You might need a favor from your boss. But you have the what? You have sown seeds. Now what I mean, you are sowing seeds. You are sowing seeds. And when one day you're gonna cash in on those seeds, which is called the fruit. And when you're sowing seeds, you're looking to cash on these things. It all depends on how you deal with people on different levels. And oh, I remember Marvin. Yes, I remember that. And that's why it's always good to give, but know how to give and who you're giving it to. Because what you're basically doing is you're putting something down for now, and later on when you ask that person for a favor, they're gonna open up their heart to you easy because you're giving to get, not now, but in the future. So give me a little bit of game on that a little bit. That's a gem there for you to get. So as I mentioned, you want to pick a name, and you're gonna go on your whatever state you live in. You're gonna go on your state, the state government. Put it, type in Google your local state government, and they got this so-called verify the name. You're gonna put that name in to make sure that someone else doesn't have it, or what they call a fictitious name. FICTIOUS, which is called fictitious, meaning that what? What's a fictitious name? Let's say, for example, you had Smith Financial Services. Now you put in the name Smith Financial Services. Now you have 10 different companies with the same name. You said Smith Financial Services, Smith Finances, Smith Services, because the name Smith is a common name and you're dealing in finances. So now you have a fictitious name, meaning that what? When someone puts your name in Google or Bing or Yahoo, which is the search engine, and you put in Smith Financial Services, it might come up with all these companies. You all have the same name. So now how do you separate yourself? That's why you have to pick a name. But you're going to go online to your state government, and you're going to type in the name availability. It depends on if you do it yourself, if you go through LegalZoom, or you come through me. I do business entity legal structure set up for you. You're going to pick a name in a legal structure. What is a legal structure? It's a business. Operate under a legal structure under the laws of the state that you're doing business in, which are one of the main ones is LLC, which stands for Limited Liability Company, which gives you personal asset protection, reduces your personal liability. There's something called an S corporation and a C corporation. Now, you never operate as an individual and as a sole proprietor. The reason why you would never operate a restaurant as an individual or sole proprietor. Why? Because if someone comes into your restaurant, many people have food allergies. Some people are allergic to seafood, peanut butter, peanut oil. You don't know why, because when someone comes into your restaurant, you don't give them a form to fill out and say, like you go to the doctor, what are you allergic to? You are taking a chance. So now you have a lot of liabilities. That's why you have to get different insurances to cover yourself, right? Insurance protects your asset, what you own. You might have a house. You might have certain investments. You need to learn how to protect your assets. So I'm going to talk about that later. So now you own a restaurant. As I mentioned, people have a food allergy. The other component is this. Let's suppose you have a restaurant, yet you own the building, but downstairs you have a restaurant. Someone slipped it. You're in New York or on the East Coast. It so happened to snow. There's ice on the ground. You think you've gotten up all this ice to something called black ice, invisible ice, that you can't, even the naked eye can't even see. That person slipped on that ice. There are some people who make a living out of lawsuits who do it on purpose. But let's imagine you didn't have certificate of liability, you didn't have the proper insurances. Now that person sue you, take over your business, something that you work hard for. Here's another thing. When you have a restaurant, you got to understand, are you going to hire employees or contractors? What are you going to do? So there's so many components and there's so many things in picking the right legal structure. So the basic structure you would pick is called a limited liability company. That gives you, it reduces your personal liability. It protects you. It protects your personal assets. But I'm gonna get more into detail how you can really protect it even more. But it protects your personal assets from, if you was to get sued and you were in the court, they call it a charging order, and you lost that case. Now the person that wins the lawsuit against you, they can't take your company and they can't touch your personal assets. What'll happen is your wages or your money will get garnished, but you won't lose your business. Versus if you open up a corporation, depending on what state it is. Remember, each state has its own laws when it comes to business. So if you want to open up a corporation or form a corporation, there's two states you do it in: Delaware and Nevada. You don't have to be a resident of Nevada to open up a corporation there. Here's the advantage. If you're a doctor and you got sued, your name is not made, your name is not known on public records of the one who is the shareholder in this corporation. Like Delaware. Delaware is one of the best states. Delaware along with Nevada are the two states that has laws that are in favor of corporations. If you want to have another state that have laws in favor of LLC, you wouldn't believe it, will be Alaska. Right. So as I mentioned, this knowledge is very important. It's very important about the name and the legal structure. The next thing I want to get into, you want to write a business plan. A business plan. You can go get a template and they give you an example of what a business plan is. You should have a business plan and a personal plan. But you having a business plan. Why is it a business plan? Because when you own a business, there's two separate entities. You treat your business as a business and treat yourself as a person. You don't commingle the two. You have to learn how to run a business. And this is why I say today, you have to work, I call it entrepreneur and entrepreneurs. There are many people who are entrepreneur, which is a mass, but they have the mindset of an employee still. There are many entrepreneurs who are entrepreneurs who pretend that they're operating a functional business, but when you get to know that person, you realize that what? They don't know that much. They look good. Remember what I said? A lot of us get caught up in the appearance. A lot of you look at a person and say, oh, that person has it all together. But when you get to know that person outside themselves, you get to know them personally, have a cup of coffee with them or tea, you realize that what? They're not who they are. So that's why it's very important based on whoever the mentor is. You want to get a mentor that's in that field. I can't go to an anthropologist to give me your mentor as being an accountant. You can't go to an auto mechanic and say, I need you to be my mentor as a plumber. They're two different entities. Find the right mentor. Not everyone is a mentor to you also. Not everyone has the knowledge and the very thing that you're looking for to get understanding of. Pick the right mentor or mentors. Remember when I said earlier, your bosses or your mentor. Because now you are trading places with your boss, the same boss that you didn't like, hate, or dislike, you want to punch in the face and beat up. Now you are a boss. And now you wearing the same shoes that your boss is wearing, and you're finding it hard. And now it's hit you that, oh wow, it costs a lot to have an employee. Because you got to pay for the health insurance, dental insurance, you got to give them wages, you have to give them a 401k. So it's the cost of hiring an employee. So now the role is reversed. Now you're no longer putting in 40 hours. You're putting in 60 to 80 hours. Now you have stability, security somewhat. Now you're on your own. Now fear can come in even when you have confidence. Fear can come in where you have faith in. It's all part of life. So now you're on your own. Okay? Now you probably making $40, $45 as an accountant, but now since you own your own business, you have to do a job for $25 an hour. Now, here's the thing. When you step out to form a business, the lifestyle that you have made or built as an employee is going to change as you seek your business. When you have a partner in your life, now that person has to pick up the slack. And I don't care what anybody say. If anyone says to you that money doesn't matter, don't come near me. That's not life. That's not thinking. Money does matter. It does matter. And it matters when people say it doesn't matter because they have a poor mentality. In the reality of life, money matters. Because when that person has to finance your dreams, when that person has to pick up the slack where you used to be able to cover, trust me, you're going to have argument. That person might end up despising you. So that's why it's important that you sit down with your partner and discuss, this is what I want to do. And this is who you are before you met them. This should be who you are as you end the relationship. You should not change your purpose and your plan. Not for the sake of love, but for the sake of you. So as I said before, the reason why I'm going to be doing these different types of streams is because I have something to share with you. Information. Some of these things that I'm going to speak about is going to provoke you to think. Some of the things that I'll talk about, you're going to either live it or you're going to live it. You already experienced it or you're going to experience it. These are the lessons and the jewels of life. And the main thing, as I said before, what's important is the name and the legal structure, which is your business formation. Are you forming an LLC? Are you forming an S Corp? I have many people that form an S Corp and don't understand that when you form an S Corp business, you as the officer must put yourself on payroll. And you must pay yourself based on what your industry is paying yourself. People don't know. People form an S Corp. And I made that mistake when I first started out, as I mentioned. Okay? So when you form an S Corp, you must put yourself on payroll. And there are two tax returns for the S Corp and the partnership. Remember I said the partnership? The form for the partnership is the 1065. Form for the S Corp is 1120S. That tax return is due on March 15th. You cannot do your personal return before you do your business return. Your S Corp or a partnership. So You must file your business return on March 15th first. Then from that, you're given what they call a K1 to the shareholders who own more than 50% of the company. A K1 would be like a W-2, which you will file in your personal tax to make it simple for you. You take the K1 from following the business return. That's the order that you have to follow. You can't invent something or I'm going to do what I want to do. No, that's the order and the structure. You're going to file your business return for if you're a partnership or S corporation, or the other name for S corporation is called small business corporation. You're going to file that first. And you get a K1, go to either a single shareholder or multiple shareholder. No, they own more than 2% of the company. I know I said 50, more than 2%. So now you take that K1, and there are some people who work. They have a job too. So now you have your W-2, you have your K1, and now you file your tax return, which is due by April 15th on your personal return. Or you file a 6-month extension from April when your personal side is 6 months go up to October. Or you might file an extension for your business and your personal as an escrow. You file the escrow extension that goes from March to September. On your personal, same time, from April 15th to October 15th. That's 6 months. So as I mentioned, these are the things that you're going to need to do. So I will be coming back. You're going to see more of me. I look forward to being in your presence. I look forward to being on your phone, your living room. I am here. My name is Marvin Smith. I am an accountant. You can reach out to me at info@sbfsllc.com or follow me on Facebook and Twitter, Smith Bookkeeping Financial Services. So to everyone, have a good night and God bless you all.